We're in far north Queensland in Cairns where the guys at Luminous Car Detailing have put on a bit of a last minute Friday car session. So we're going to go inside and check it out. They've got a heap of new and old school cars. It's going to be great. So here with Derek, he's got a wild little Toyota 86, mate. Tell us a little bit about the car. You said you've owned it a long time?
Yeah, so I built it, like 2007 from an Australian spec 86. And I was lucky enough to get a hold of a written off JDM one. So a lot of its interior and such and suspension came from an actual JDM Sprinter. And I've converted it to the 20 valve blacktop engine. Done a lot of work to the electrics. I changed it to a link from the factory management so I could run a different intake manifold. So currently it's not on the standard quad throttle bodies, it's on an aftermarket set of quads, which allows me to run the pipe across filter without coming into clearance issues and gives me much longer intake runners to get a little bit more power. So this is standard pistons, but a skimmed block and thinner head gasket. So it's probably pushing 11 at this point, 11 to 1. And so because of that, I've recently put a flex fuel sensor in there and I want to experiment with some E85 to see if I can get a little bit more ignition out of it.
Your interior, are those seats out of a Honda maybe?
Yeah, I think it's a Honda Integra Recaros, which suit it quite well.
Suit it perfectly. I hope you bought these a few years ago because they cost a fortune now.
I actually got super lucky with these. I got them probably around 13 years ago off eBay from Hong Kong. And the shipping was like $100 for 2 seats. I didn't believe it until they turned up. But other than that, in the interior, I've converted it to the digital dash. So it's got the LED sweep for the tacho, which is pretty nifty.
What size wheels are these?
These are 16s. I actually made the mistake. I bought them off Yahoo as 5-inch wide wheels and didn't realize they were 16s. I thought I was getting 15s. And when they turned up, I'm like, oh, it's a shame not to use them. And so I had them widened locally. So they're now 16 by 9, 16 by 10.
That's a 10, wow.
Yeah. So
it sits on there pretty nicely. I guess it's the flare.
Yeah, the flares cover a good chunk of it. They're the Crystal Body Yokohama, the CBY kit on it. Showing its age now. The fiberglass is sort of cracking through, so don't get too close. You can see how much wider it actually is because it's got the standard mud flaps on it. And it's only in the last year or so I've put the effort in to get it back on the road. So I have been driving it more in the last 6 months than it has in the last 10 years, really.
Ian, very rare car in far north Queensland,
Yes.
R34 Skyline, yeah?
Yes.
What's the difference between a V-Spec and a non-V-Spec?
There's a bunch of differences, mostly little differences, like the V-Specs have the rear diffuser, they have an active LSD, which doesn't support the power that the mechanical diff versions do. So a lot of people with a V-Spec will try and buy the diff out of one of these if they're making bigger power. The V-Specs have this front end, so this is a V-Spec front end on a non-V-Spec. So not original. That's actually how I bought it. Bought it out of Sydney from a fella down there deeply involved with Skylines Australia, Richard Kowalski, known as Beer Baron. Yeah. And he was quite a collector of JDM cars. I had the car a week and then started modifying it.
Yeah. And this is heavily modified. You were saying
Yes.
This engine's a little bit unique.
Yeah, so a lot of people go RB30 when they want to increase displacement. I kept the RB26 block, but I used an N1 block. That gave me a bit more strength in the block. I've put a spacer plate on top of the motor and then sleeved it. So the deck of the block is 20 millimeters higher than standard. And then thanks to the people down at Nitto, I was able to get a 90 mil crank for it. It runs a set of SR20 rods and a custom set of 89 mil pistons. So 3360cc.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit, like 4 cc's bigger than a 3.4 litre if you used a RB30 block. So I think this makes it the largest RB30 in the world,
Yeah, wow.
or 34 in the world.
34.
Yeah.
The 3.2 seem to be fairly common.
Yeah, 3.2 is an easy build to do in an RB30 block. It drops straight in. There's not a lot of complexity. The complexity, I think, for the 3.2s is finding a block that's worth building. You know, PRP and Herman at PRP does all that ultrasonic wall thickness testing and all that, where I didn't have to do any of that because I use a sleeve, and my sleeves are stepped at different heights, at different depths in the block. So I maintain the strength of the block, but I've got a wall thickness that's over 3.5 mil at its thinnest. It's up at like, I think it's like 9.5 to 11 mil at the deck at the top of the block, so it's pretty solid. And the spacer plate's aluminium, billet. Yeah, that's pretty much the setup.
Obviously, the bigger displacement helps drive a bigger turbo, yeah?
Yeah, so I had a 64-66 on it for a while. That made 700 to the tyres, but it did that at, I think it was around 5.5 or 6,500 RPM, and it would come on so savagely. The low end was just ridiculous. I think 18 pounds of boost at 3,200 RPM. It had a torque curve like a V12, but the power was like 700 horsepower from like 6-ish, 6.5 or something, but then it would only hold that to redline, and it was running out of airflow on that turbo. So it would have been about 2 or 3 years ago I changed to 7275 Gen 2. It's not a divided scroll hot side, it's open scroll, so that'll doughies it down a bit, makes it a little more placid to come on to boost. So it's on gate now with the gates open around 4.5, which is more in line with your typical GTR, but really responsive, and it holds boost all the way to redline fine now, and I have no idea how much power it's making. I've mostly just street tuned it, and there's only so far you can go with street tuning a car with this sort of power. I'm running it around 25 pound at the moment, and it's scary enough.
Hey, one question I always ask owners of white wheels, mate, is it's got to be harder to keep them clean than a black car, I reckon?
Oh, I loved my white wheels to death, but like I cleaned them once,
Yeah.
schmick, and then within one drive,
Yeah.
they're just ridiculous, especially with the Brembos as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd do white wheels again.
They suit this car though.
Yeah.
What are they? Are they work?
So they're work Kawamis.
Yep.
They're 18 by 9.5 plus 20s. And wrapped in Advan RSO8s.
They're the tyres you need on a car like this. So this is an Evo 9.
Yes.
Don't see too many of them in red.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Heard you come up the street. It's certainly not stock.
yeah. It's just a running joke now, because it's got an M-Tron in it. It's got the ignition cut and all that, obviously. So
what have you done to this?
Yeah, so not much to this actually at all. I've had it for like about 4 or 5 years now, and I'm just more trying to refine it as I go.
Yeah.
And I've came just out of my P plates almost when I got this,
right.
so I'm sort of still learning a few things. What is it? Intake, exhaust, and M-Tron. And and coilovers and that kind of stuff.
You know
but
what that is?
not much.
With an Evo, they're smart modifications. You go down
Yeah.
the rabbit hole, and it's all downhill from here, dude.
Yeah.
Make
I've been
a lot of
saying
power,
that.
but I see so many guys with smashed transfer cases and.
Yeah. I'm really trying to slip the clutch now because I've actually been through 2 gearboxes now. I think.
I should have.
Yeah, because it's 6-speed, so they just
okay.
don't like it. And then the balance shaft belt actually snapped one time and took out the intake cams. That's the intake valves, sorry. So I've had to go on. While I was there, I went +1 millimeter valves as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The 6 speeds though, wouldn't they be nicer on the street because the ratios are close?
Yeah, I was actually really upset that you couldn't really make like a really nice 6-speed. Because it's like butter to go, it's awesome. And the 5 speeds are really clunky, and if you like that, but yeah, like you can do a few things like a different gear and like a slightly less helical gear, and even then it's still 6 speed.
Yeah. You might have to get a Subaru like that STI over in the back there.
Yeah.
That's where you need an Evo with a Subaru gearbox in it.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Perfect.
Once I get my license, my trade license, I'll start doing a whole lot more to it. So I got a plan for everything, just not the money.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can hang on to this for many years because these are only going up in value.
Oh yeah.
Bad. Especially the 9s. Well, let's be honest, guys, this is the last real Evo, isn't it? The 10, come on.
The other ones are just boats.
Who likes Evo 10s?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely never going to sell this one.
Now, Eric and the team have been good enough to put this car show on for us. You've got some of the local guys here, mate. Now, tell us a bit about Luminous. You've been in operation for a few years.
Yeah, so ran about 5 and a bit years now. Basically started off mobile, weekend warrior, as per any other detailer does. Was lucky to get some good clients, build my way through, did tons of research, got super passionate about it, and things just sort of snowballed. Got to the point where got quite lucky with Lockie next door at Off the Wall, and we've done a bit of a partnership, got this big shop now. Yeah, all the room for activities, which is great. Just done some great cars, some really high-end stuff, and we're starting to get this really good niche now. Very reputable in Cairns. And
yeah, you've got a great location here, great frontage in terms of public view. What do you guys specialise in? Is it more for sale stuff, or is it high-end modified stuff? A bit of everything.
Yeah, a bit of everything now. Obviously climbed the ranks. Obviously when you start, you're doing all these mobile washes. At this point, I'm basically doing nothing but paint protection, bigger sort of restorations like the Impala down the back and stuff, sort of full stripping everything out. Job management, so there's a STI conversion across there currently, doing the whole lot, managing all the mechanical stuff and where the car's going. But now that we've got the bigger shop, throwing staff on and trying to be a bit of more of a one-stop shop, we can actually do the maintenance washes all the way through to the high-end restorations and the job management. So that's the end goal, is pretty much to make Luminous the place to go for anything cosmetic on your vehicle.
Yeah, and you were saying you're still actually setting up the place. You haven't been in this particular premises for that long?
Yeah, not too long, only a couple months. It is a very big shop to fill, so we've
Looks like you've done a lot of work here already.
Yeah, it's getting there. So we've pretty much just got to tidy it up a little bit. The front room, which is back that way, we're going to make it's going to have the spray booth with all the hex lights and all that pretty stuff. Out here is going to be where all the magic happens, just pumping through volume and making some money. But yeah, really big shop to actually transform, but quite new, big things to happen. So it's quite fun, very expensive, but very fun.
That's worth it, man. Anyway, if you're in the Cairns area and you need to give your car a bit of TLC, hit the guys up here at Luminous. Great team, great work, and great quality.